All right. We are so glad that you are here. Happy summer, happy post-graduation, and all of the things that I know that you are just about to celebrate, if not already, or will celebrate soon. My name is Tab Enoch. I'm one of the Associate Deans of Students here at the University of Virginia, and the core of my work is in orientation and new student programs. And I want to welcome you to our Wednesday Web series. Our Wednesday Web is designed to help prepare you for your arrival at UVA. Each week from now until move-in day, we will have a Wednesday Web so that you can learn more about the university resources across ground. So I encourage you to tune in, check our website for the list of all of the topics. A couple of general reminders that I do want to share with you. There are many deadlines that are coming up, and we want you to be able to pay attention to, or we want you to be paying attention to your student portal. Make sure you are staying up to date on your tasks so that you are ready to roll this fall. You can access the new student portal from our website, orientation.virginia.edu. Also, make sure you are checking your UVA email regularly. So not your meatballlover@yahoo.com email. You need to be checking your, your 3-digit, your 3 letters UVA email address, because we are going to be sending information to that email address. So be sure you continue to check that over the course of the summer. Our office is always happy to answer questions. So if you have any questions that are coming up as you are in the process of registering and sort of starting your onboarding process to UVA, don't hesitate to email us at orientation@virginia.edu, and we're happy to guide you. We will be recording this webinar, so just know that it's recorded. So if you missed something and you want to check back to be sure that you got the accurate information, you can check back on our website. We will post that probably by next week. We'll have this recording up and it'll be ready for you to watch. And if you have questions, I think our panel today will let you know how they will field questions. They probably will take them at the end of the presentation. So just know that that will be a possibility for you too. And without further ado, I am happy and delighted to turn it over to our wonderful, wonderful panelist, the superstar, Kim Sauerwein, who works over in our University Career Center. Kim, take it away.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pre-Health Advising webinar. If you haven't already, take a moment to scan the QR code on the screen to sign up for our Pre-Health Pulse newsletter. You'll get up-to-date information from Pre-Health Advising during the balance of your time at UVA. And we are going to bring that QR code up later during the presentation, just in case somebody doesn't have their phone right at hand, so do not fret. This evening, we'll provide an overview of UVA pre-health advising resources and services specifically geared toward preparing you for course registration during orientation. So in addition to this webinar, pre-health advisors will be on hand during orientation in the same room where you will get general course advising and register for classes. That's the room where it happens, okay? We will also host an in-person session on day 2 of orientation to talk about your pre-health experience beyond the classroom and to prepare you for a successful fall semester as a pre-health who. Today, we're going to spend about 30 to 40 minutes with an overview and then take questions at the end. So please jot down your questions so you don't forget them, but be sure to keep an eye on the webinar because it is rich with information that may answer your questions. So without further ado, let's get a feel for who is here. Please add in the chat, if you're able, which of the following professions are of interest to you. And let me just check in with my colleagues. I'm not sure if y'all are able to put it in the chat now that I think about it. So we will just say, we know that you're out there. So a lot of folks, typically when we bring in an incoming class, there are a lot of folks who are interested in medicine, but we also work with dentistry, occupational therapy, optometry, pharmacy, physical therapy. A good number of folks are physician assistant, interested in that area, which is now called physician associate by the professional association, podiatry, and veterinary medicine. So what is pre-health? Pre-health is an umbrella term that's used to describe a variety of clinical health career paths. We define clinical health as those who are working with patients, as opposed to health administrators, health educators, biostatisticians, and epidemiologists, but our colleagues in the Career Center work with those career fields too. So you'll note the variety of clinical health paths that our students pursue. And you may notice that nursing is not on this slide because our nursing school is the area that folks would go to get advice and academic advice and application advice if you're interested in nursing. So these are the areas we primarily advise on, but we have information around a lot of careers that are kind of connected to these clinical career areas. So at UVA, you're going to have a network of advisors, and here are a number of advisors that you will work with throughout your undergraduate years. There's a lot. Today, we're going to focus specifically on how a pre-health advisor can help you during your time at UVA. Collectively, we have advised thousands and thousands of students from day one orientation or pre-orientation, like you're here today, all the way through the application process. And we will be with you and be part of your journey throughout this time. And as a quick introduction, this is the pre-health advising team. You will hear from each of our professional advisors on the webinar today. And we're bringing on one additional advisor starting this summer, as well as a graduate intern and 6 pre-health advising peers who are UVA students who've been in your shoes in the past. And so we're very happy to welcome you, and I'm going to hand it over to Brennan, who will talk to you about the scope of pre-health advising at UVA.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kim, and welcome everyone again. As Kim mentioned, the QR code has made another appearance, so here's your chance to scan and sign up for our Pre-Health Pulse newsletter. But our goal for today's webinar is to prepare you for your first semester course registration. So this is really to get you ready for what you will experience at orientation during the course registration session if you are a pre-health student. And so, like Kim mentioned, pre-health advisors will be at orientation during the advising sessions to answer questions that you may have about various health professions that you're interested in, the prerequisites that you would need, all of those pieces to help you have a successful time at UVA. And again, we do encourage you to sign up for this newsletter because this is how you can stay engaged and know different things that are happening on grounds and beyond that will help you throughout your time at UVA and your overall experience. And so this image that you see right here, we like to call our pre-health advising pillars. This is kind of our advising model that we operate off of. So as a pre-health student at UVA, hopefully this will become a very common and well-known image to you as you meet with us and continue on this path. And so our pre-health pillars advising model incorporates 3 essential components of preparation for success in the application process to health professional programs. So all of those 9 professions that Kim showed at the beginning do have application processes. And so this is designed to help you navigate through that. So initially, any student who's pursuing a health profession is going to demonstrate an initial interest in the profession. So you'll see that kind of as the bottom part, the foundation of these pillars. And then from there, from the interest, there are then 3 main areas of development that students need to complete in order to be successful. And so you'll see that those 3 are the academic, career, and then the personal pillar. So starting off with the academic pillar, this includes anything that you can think of in terms of your prerequisite courses, having a strong academic performance in terms of GPA in those prerequisites, as well as your overall general coursework at UVA, your entrance exams that are required for different health professions. So those are things such as the MCAT if you are interested in going into medicine, the GRE for things such as PA programs, the OAT, the DAT, the list goes on. And as you come into UVA and kind of are deciding your path, meet with us and we can make sure you know what entrance exam is right for your path. And also letters of recommendation are some things that fall into this academic pillar. And so this is something that you'll develop over your 4 years. Moving on into the middle is the career pillar. And this is really how you can show your understanding of your chosen career field and really showing that you know what you're getting yourself into by pursuing the path that you are on. So things that fall in this pillar are things such as clinical experiences, showing knowledge of the profession, having that key interaction with patients, so some hands-on components there, and also showing intentional career exploration through shadowing and again, clinical exposure. And then last but not least is our personal pillar. This is everything of what makes you you. What are some unique things that you bring to the table? Different life experiences, how you've shown growth, your self-awareness, how you've demonstrated resiliency, anything here that is just really important to you. So making sure that you, while you're on these paths, you don't feel like you have to stop pursuing other things that you're passionate about. Instead, we want to encourage you to continue doing those things because it really helps to enhance that personal pillar. And so 3 strongly developed pillars in academic, career, and personal is then what combined will lead to you being a strong candidate and one that will eventually lead to acceptance into your health profession program. And so then now we're going to jump into academics and highlight some academic components that are essential to consider, starting with your first semester as a WHO. And so what is pre-health? So pre-health here at UVA, it is not a major, but instead we want you to think of it as a track. So this means that in addition to pursuing a clinical career path, that you're also going to need a major at UVA in order to graduate. So health professional programs are going to require specific prerequisites that may or may not fall within your chosen major, but they are not going to have any sort of preference as to what you major in. If anything, it's really important that you think about what you are most interested in and what you feel like you can excel in or what you would most enjoy, and not worry about how it looks or how it fits, because all health professions like to see a variety of majors. And the only way, since it is not a major, since pre-health is not a major here at UVA, the only way we know that you're out there is for you to subscribe to our pre-health pulse. That is essentially kind of how you declare that you are pre-health, is by signing up for that newsletter. So next time that QR code comes around, make sure you scan that to get added into there. And I think actually that's our next slide. Yeah, so take a second, scan that. And this will make sure that you are signed up for our newsletter. And again, I think it will make another appearance here, and we'll make sure that we have it up at the end for you to tack on there too.
Brennan, just checking, are you seeing the pre-health newsletter QR code right now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, making sure. Good.
Yes, thank you, Kim. Awesome. So as we move on, so thinking about the majors like we just talked about, this is just a sample of some majors that past alums who have gone on to health professions have pursued. And so you can see that while there are some on this list that do maybe tie into having some of those necessary prereqs in them, we also have worked with successful students who have done music, who have done history. So it is really important that you think about what you are most interested in and what you enjoy to pick for your major, because that will be a majority of your time at UVA. So just really think about that as you are thinking about what you should major in when you come into UVA. And now I will toss it over to Kyle to talk more specifically about those prerequisites for health professions.
Awesome. Thank you, Brennan. And hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be able to talk with y'all about prereqs this evening. And we're going to talk about those prerequisites that are going to be really helpful for course registration at orientation, starting specifically your first semester at UVA. I think at this point, someone is linking in the chat a PDF handout that says pre-health advising at the top. So if you can save that as a reference for course advising, and you can have after this presentation, we'll also have copies of the handout available for you at orientation to refer back to. And it's just kind of a way that we can encompass all the information that you're seeing in these next few slides. And in thinking about your first semester pre-health coursework, like Brennan is talking about, here are some of the common prerequisites for both medical school and health professions programs that are on this slide. Very generally, a lot of classes are encompassed in these categories, but generally these are common prerequisites that you will see through different health professions programs. The QR code that's on your screen right now is going to take you to a page that outlines specific course professions, but specific requirements by profession. And so whether you're interested in medicine or dentistry or podiatry, you will see links to each of those professions' prerequisites. And right now, we're not worrying about all 4 years at UVA. We're going to advise you for your first semester to prep you for course registration during orientation. Then once you're at UVA, you can meet with one of us as pre-health advisors so we can map out all 4 years of your prerequisites to address your specific area of interest. So next, getting into first semester course recommendations, here is just an outline of possible considerations for your first semester as you're thinking about pursuing health professions. 3 disciplines that we're considering here are the sciences, behavioral sciences, and math. For those sciences, based on previous data for successful applicants in health professions programs, most students start off with 1 lab science class in their first semester, and just 1. This is typically general chemistry or introductory biology. Both chemistry and biology are prerequisite courses for upper level coursework in those sciences. And just a little bit of information about both of those. Chemistry is a locked sequence of classes, meaning that you have to take general chemistry 1 before general chemistry 2. Whereas biology, you can kind of take in no particular order, meaning you could do bio 2 before you do bio 1. For behavioral science, we often recommend classes within psychology and sociology to get you started. And for math, we recommend calculus or statistics. That is very broad, and there can be various combinations based on your college or major. And on the back of that pre-health advising handout, you're going to find a few schedule options and ideas listed for the College of Arts and Sciences, School of Engineering, and School of Education. And getting into some of these academic considerations that we know some of you are coming in with. So first, talking about advanced placement or AP credits. Different health professions programs really vary on whether they accept AP credit as completion of a prerequisite. So it's important to check with specific schools. If schools do accept credit, however, they recommend completing other upper level coursework in the same discipline at the university level. So for example, if you got credit for AP biology, it's helpful to take an upper level biology class to show your level of mastery in that subject. Some students do decide to retake science courses for which they did receive AP credit so that they can prepare for other upper level coursework for UVA or future entrance exams that require a greater understanding. It's very much a personal choice. However, if you do elect to retake a course you already received AP credit for, you will then forfeit those credits and you'll no longer receive AP credit to fulfill graduation requirements. Similarly, for dual enrollment credits, health professions programs do vary on whether they accept dual enrollment credit as completion. Most schools will consider dual enrollment credit if you obtained a B or higher in that course. And similarly, students do decide often to retake science coursework that they received dual enrollment credit for, so that they can again prepare for that upper level coursework or future entrance exams. And if you decide to retake a course that you got dual enrollment credit for, you are again forfeiting those rights, and those credits will no longer go toward your UVA credit count for graduation. And the students are also encouraged to complete upper level coursework in sciences to supplement that DE credit. So similarly, if you got credit in dual enrollment for biology, it's encouraged to take other upper level biology classes to show that mastery. And now I'm going to toss to Chris to talk more about the timeline.
Great, thanks, Kyle. So you're probably thinking now, when do I apply to these programs that we're all talking about? Again, the purpose of this conversation is to introduce you to pre-health advising in your first year at UVA. However, I wanted to provide a little bit of perspective about when applicants typically apply to these health professions programs. So for perspective, the data we have on this slide doing allopathic medicine, which is MD programs, and UVA students who applied in cycle 2019, 2020, and 2021. And what we observed was that 81% of students who got into medical school from these 3 cycles had at least 1 bridge year. So bridge year, you might also have heard it called a gap year. Basically, that is a year between when you graduate from UVA and when you start whatever health profession you're applying to. So that would be like your 5th year. You do 4 years at UVA, then you have a 5th year, which would be your gap year. No gap year or no bridge year would be you applying at the end of your 3rd year and then starting your health program right after you graduate from UVA. And we can talk more about that in appointment about what that looks like. But our data shows that 81% of students who got into medical school took 1 or more gap years or bridge years, and about 19% did not take a bridge year. So what this goes to show is that, the process of applying to a health professions program is not necessarily a sprint. It's more of a marathon. There's a lot of different requirements, academics, extracurriculars, clinical involvement, things that Brennan sort of talked about with those pillars that you need to take into account for. So we can go to the next slide. Right, so we developed this, or I should say Kyle developed this wonderful pre-health plan or path, which basically breaks down the pillars year by year. And there are many different paths. Students might get involved with some activities in their 1st year and do other things in their 2nd year, but I'll just talk briefly about this. The blue circles identify that academic pillar. So obviously, if you look in the top left-hand corner, in your 1st year, you're attending orientation, you're beginning to create that 1st year schedule of courses. You can meet with us at orientation, meet with us at an appointment throughout the summer and in your first couple of weeks, and we can help you devise a plan for your classes going forward. And then the pink circles get at that career pillar. So, getting involved with CIOs, which are clubs, organizations at UVA, shadowing experiences, research experiences, experiences that expose you to the field. That's what those pink circles are showing. And that ideally is going to be throughout all of your time at UVA across the summers, until you apply, and even if you take a gap year or bridge year. And then personal, figuring out that why medicine or why dentistry, that also is sort of evident throughout that pathway. And then you'll notice in your 4th year that the paths sort of diverge. I would say the path least taken, to quote Robert Frost, is the no bridge year plan, which is the data that we sort of talked about on the previous slide. But there are many students who do a no bridge year plan. And we're happy to talk to you about that. And then there's also the bridge year path, which is the bottom road across the bottom. So yeah, these are some common pre-health pathways that we see at UVA. Now we have a few insider tips that we all want you to know as you enter UVA and begin your pre-health path. One that we've seen some students sort of not think about early on when they should have is getting good letters of recommendation. Letters of recommendation are required for all of the different health programs. So what that means is, you need to be active in the classroom, be a participant, attend office hours, sit in the front of the class, ask questions, talk to the professors after class, get to know them. Strong letters are important for when you apply, and they are required. So it can really, stop your application process if you don't have these letters of recommendation. So start early, don't wait until the last semester. A lot of these programs will require 3 academic letters and then some personal letters. So make sure you're starting to get those early on. Another insider tip, especially important for 1st year students, build a community. Being a pre-health student does not necessarily need to be competitive. Worry about your own academic, career, personal pillars, develop those, learn from your mistakes, carry forward. But students who approach learning collaboratively and often yield higher grades on coursework, exams, and they have stronger experiences. So definitely consider that approach as you begin UVA and your pre-health path. And we also have one other thing I wanted to throw in there too. We also have, as we mentioned in the beginning, a staff of 6 pre-health advising peers who are pre-health students and have taken a lot of the classes that you will be taking as you start UVA. and they have a lot of the experiences that you might also be interested in. So definitely talk to them, and they can also shed light on this community sort of theme that we're trying to foster within the pre-health community. Now over to Kim.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. We just have 2 more important slides for you before we start our Q&A. And we wanted to let you know that starting in the fall, we will offer in-person and virtual appointments for 30 minutes. We find that most first-year students benefit from coming to an in-person appointment. We kind of get to know you, and we get to know you over time. We recommend that you check in with a pre-health advisor at least once per year, if not once per semester. That is, we have seen a correlation between success in the application process and getting good advice. So our 30-minute appointments are pre-scheduled and offered Monday through Friday year-round. And like I said, for your class, that will start in the fall. There's information on appointments and drop-ins on the pre-health advising handout that Chris put in the chat earlier. And in just a minute, I'm going to show you that QR code one more time to sign up for the pre-health pulse if you haven't already. Again, this is about events, resources, and opportunities. A lot of the health programs or clinics in the area will send us information when they have an opportunity specifically for a pre-health student. And finally, the pre-health website. Please go online and check out the pre-health website when you're able to. There's information about preparing for your health career and information about applications. And then, of course, we recommend you meet with an advisor in the fall. Let me bring you that code one more time, latest information and updates. And again, this presentation will be or is being recorded so that if you need to go back and say, what was that question again, you can join us again. Please do feel free to put some information, some questions in the Q&A, and we will move on to that. I think I'm going to close out the visual for the moment so that you will see us here. And Chris is going to facilitate our Q&A.
Sure. Yeah, so we have one question so far. Definitely put questions in the Q&A option. The first one is, what recommendations do you have on getting involved with research programs? Kyle, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So research at UVA is typically held within the separate academic departments. And a lot of it is about emailing your professors and kind of doing that cold outreach and requesting to be involved in research that way. In addition, there are a lot of different research programs out there that you might find outside of UVA, but we often see students reaching out to the different academic departments that they're thinking about majoring in, or they're thinking about just getting involved with in order to obtain research. I will say it's something to really consider and take professionally so that you are making sure that you have enough time to commit to it, you feel ready for research, you're actually interested in it and want to do it, as well as when you are requesting research, you're not just sending out a huge blast to a bunch of different professors. It's really important to research the professors that you are reaching out to and look at their research interests and think about, like, why do I want to do this research, so that you can tell them that when you are reaching out to them and emailing them to request. And the only other thing I can think of is sometimes different departments will send out in their listservs, if you get on with a biology listserv or chemistry listserv or something of that sort, and they send it out through there that you can kind of jump on to get involved with. I don't know if anybody else has other ideas, but those are my initial thoughts.
I agree totally with what Kyle said. Another thing just to kind of toss in there is, and Kyle hit on this too, is that you don't feel like you have to do research in any sort of realm, again, to look the best or whatnot. Any sort of research is going to be beneficial for these paths. So if it's psychology or things that fall out of those STEM realms, that's also perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, all right. So I have 2 questions that I think maybe Brennan can answer. So what recommendations do you have on getting involved with volunteer internship opportunities? And there's another similar question. Are there any medical clubs on campus that help with volunteering at UVA Hospital? and gaining clinical experience. So it looks like volunteering is the theme for those two questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kim just tossed a really helpful link into the chat that you can check out as well too. But there are lots of opportunities here on Grounds and Beyond. One thing that you may hear about as being kind of a really big pull is Madison House. And so that's something to kind of keep an eye out on, to get involved with early. It is very popular. So it's one of those things to where worst case scenario, if you don't get involved in that in your first year, that is totally fine. You're not behind or out of luck or anything like that. But you may have a lot of luck, joining CIOs or those student organizations here on Grounds, and there are so many of them. There's a lot that have a health focus, and then there's others that maybe aren't necessarily health focused, but still give back to the community in lots of different ways. And so volunteering in healthcare settings is super important and super beneficial from an application standpoint, as well as just a self-betterment standpoint, but also general volunteering and giving back to the community, whether it relates to health or not. Like if you were to go to a local shelter or something along those lines, a lot of these programs want to see involvement in that. So we find that that's kind of an area that maybe a lot of students or applicants neglect in a sense. So just a little plug to kind of think about general volunteering as you're thinking about asking this question about volunteering, to kind of broaden the scope outside of the healthcare side as well too. But I think when you come to orientation, there will be a lot of different sessions or ways to kind of learn about the different CIOs and everything on Grounds. So those will be great ways to kind of get not only connected to the greater Grounds community, but also to find opportunities for volunteering.
Yeah, we put 3 links in the chat. So if you check your chat out, I think, let's see. Yeah, Kim put in the link for our clinical experience webpage. I put a link in for the Madison House Medical Services. Madison House Medical Services oversees all the clinical, so hospital volunteering. Anything involving patients go through Madison House Medical Services. And then Kyle put in a link for the webpage for the clubs, CIOs on Grounds, which are UVA student clubs and organizations. So check out those 3 links. All right, so one question, maybe Kim can take this one. What recommendations do you have for academic success in first-year science courses?
Yeah, thank you. It's an important thing for folks to keep in mind is that there is always a step up when you get to UVA classes. And so you might be an ED straight A student throughout high school. Don't presume that's how it's going to be at UVA. Even if it might be for you as an individual, presume that you're going to have to work hard for it. You probably will have to spend more time than you have in high school on particular classes. And if you go in with that mindset that you're going to need to work hard for it, that's going to help you in the process. I also highly recommend to be involved in your classes. It's easy. You don't have to go to class in many cases. The professor may never know your name, but make sure the professor knows who you are. Sit close to the front of the class. Ask questions when you have questions. If you're not an extrovert, don't like to ask questions during class, visit your professor's office hours. That does 2 things. Number 1, helps you get more involved in your learning. And number 2, the professor gets to know you, which if you remember, we talked about letters of recommendation. The better the professor knows you, even from your very first semester at UVA, the more likely they're going to agree to write a letter of recommendation later on down the line. So getting involved in your courses, visiting professors, engage in tutoring or study groups if you are able, because those are, even if you don't need it for sure, even the best athletes have a coach. So think of it as coaching. And, you know, if you're committed to this career field, you're going to be studying for quite a few years. And, you know, starting out on a good foot is going to help you all the way.
Great. Thank you, Kim. I'll take the next one. So how can I check which med schools accept dual enrollment math prerequisites like Calc AB and BC? So dual enrollment, usually students take these at community colleges near their high school, and usually you're able to get a transcript. If you're able to get a transcript for a prerequisite course, then the medical schools will accept it because it was as if you took that course at a college. And it's not as if, I mean, you did take it out of college. So if you have, if you have dual enrollment credit, you can use that for medical school. So I'll mark that as answered. Let's see. So there's 2 questions about shadowing. Kyle, do you want to talk about shadowing opportunities?
Sure. I can talk a little bit about shadowing, and just to kind of like clarify and put a disclaimer, I guess, out there. I know there's a lot of talk about shadowing in the pre-med and pre-health community. That is not the only thing that is important. I talked to a doctor just yesterday who was, getting an influx of shadowing requests, and they were, referring to the idea that this is not the only thing that you need to be doing. It's really important to get more direct kind of hands-on experience as well. So to that end, shadowing is also very important so that you can observe different health professions that you are interested in and make sure that you are liking what you're seeing and that this is a career that is a good fit for you, and to have a good understanding of what this career actually means on a daily basis rather than seeing it on TV or anything. So with shadowing, we facilitate a shadowing program called Observe at UVA that happens in the fall and spring semesters that is application based. So it is an opportunity that we ask students to apply to, and we kind of facilitate it based on students' readiness and then available matches with positions. If you are seeking opportunities outside of UVA, we recommend, reaching out to different positions you might know from home or those that you might know personally. But at UVA, Observe is the main way that you can gain shadowing experience, and that will take place each semester.
Yeah, the application for that will be sent out in the Pre-Health Pulse newsletter. So be sure to look for that. That's where you will see the application for shadowing program. Okay, let's see what the next question is. Will we receive a recommended path of progression if we have a health profession already in mind? Yes. So if you're thinking about, let's say, dentistry, for example, meet with us in the fall. We can, chart out a pathway for that profession specifically. But a lot of the health professions have very similar prerequisite courses. So, if you're starting off in dentistry and you come around to medicine later on, it's not going to be too difficult of a switch. Of course, your clinical experience, what you're doing to expose you to that field might look a little bit different. But yeah, if you already have a health profession in mind, we're happy to talk to you about the prerequisites for that. You can also find the prerequisites on our website for each of the professions.
Chris, I was going to go ahead and put the website in the chat so that folks can see that. And I'm going to do one other thing just so that folks are aware. Hold on just a second. I'm going to share my screen so folks know where to find it. And so can you see the Explore Tomorrow Today? Everybody? Yes. Okay. So you'll see the pre-health information. There's some general information. And down here, kind of toward the middle, there's each profession. So you can click on your profession of interest and learn a little bit more about it. And for each profession, there is specific prerequisites. Now, as we've said during this webinar, it's really important that we are setting you up, regardless of which profession you choose. We're going to set you up for your very first semester. Take biology or chemistry, and you're going to be on a good track. But you can take a look at these prerequisites. And then once you're here in the fall, we can meet with all of you to map out a 4 or 5 year plan for how you will complete your prerequisites. And sometimes we do a couple of different options. You could do it this way, or if you decided to study abroad at a particular time, we can change it up to complete your prerequisites this way. And if you decide to major in something else, we can look at it again. So we have lots of resources for doing that and for helping you map out a very personalized pre-health plan. But there's no one right way to do it. And that's really, really important for everybody to understand, because it seems like if you go on Reddit or you look online, you're going to see like, here's what you need to do. But we know from advising lots and lots of students prior for a number of years at UVA that every student has their own path. And so I put that website in the chat, but also just want to make sure that you all understand that it can go in lots of different directions.
Thanks, Kim. Brennan, do you want to grab the next two? So there's one question about a non-academic recommendation letter and study abroad.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, for a non-academic letter of recommendation, so what we tend to recommend in that sense is we get a lot of questions of what letters are going to look the best and everything. And while it's important to think about that, what's more important is that you have a quality relationship with whoever you are asking to give you a letter. And so a non-academic, I have seen a wide gamut, as my colleagues probably have too. I've seen someone from a history department. I've seen someone from an art class. I've seen someone from an English class. And so really any class that does not come from a biology, chemistry, physics, or math department will be considered. Oh, I'm sorry, this was non-academic letter, right? I'm so sorry. Okay, so non-academic letter.
Sorry. Yeah, like a non-professor letter.
Yes. Okay. Well, we can talk about all the science stuff when you get
Yeah.
here. So that's all still helpful, but non-academic letter. This can be someone that maybe you worked with as maybe someone you shadowed, a physician you got to know really well. It could also be somebody from, if you've worked at Home Depot or some store or something, and you've had a boss in the past that can really speak to your abilities, your work ethic, your personality, things that you are really strong in. Those can be really solid non-academic letters. It can be a mentor that you've had in the past. But again, still important to really think about who knows you the best and who can really speak to your strengths and your passion for going into this field and just all of the great things that you bring to the table to help enhance your candidacy for your health professions school. And then was the next question just study abroad in general?
Sorry, so, are study abroad programs known to be helpful in the pre-health track?
Good question. So study abroad is a fantastic opportunity, and I won't delve too far into this because there'll probably be sessions at orientation or whatnot, but there are some study abroad programs that do have a pre-health tie-in, meaning that you could have some prerequisites also finalized or taken while you're on a certain trip. But study abroad is fantastic because if you think about that personal pillar idea, it's something unique. You're getting to be immersed in a different culture, a different spot. So it really helps to really broaden your worldview for a lot of different things that in turn could help solidify your passion for wanting to go into a health profession or just help you to grow personally. So yes, they can be a fantastic opportunity or thing to take advantage of. But then in the event that it's something you're not able to do or whatnot, that does not put you at a disadvantage by any means, because there will be other things that you can do to really enhance your pillars in different ways.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. There's one question follow-up to that dual enrollment credit. I can answer that since I had answered it originally. So dual enrollment means that you took university courses while in high school, okay? If UVA accepts those dual enrollment credits, yes, you can use those for your medical school application, and you got credit for that math course that you would have taken at UVA. However, your question was, so does that mean I won't need to take another math course at UVA? Not necessarily, because your major, whatever you decide to major in, might have additional math requirements, or, you know, whatever your general education requirements might require additional math courses. So for the purposes of medical school, yes, you can use that math credit, but for your other requirements at UVA, you would have to double check to see if you need to take any additional math courses. But for medical school, whatever, usually they require 2 math courses, which can be a calculus and a statistics, but that's kind of getting into the weeds. For the purposes of this conversation, yes, you can use that dual enrollment credit if it was awarded to you. Okay. Maybe Kyle, are there engagement courses you recommend that would align well with pre-health interests?
Yeah, so this is a great question to understand the scope of pre-health advising. Unfortunately, we are not able to recommend engagement courses. We are not association deans or major advisors or anything. I would recommend talking to your assigned association dean to talk about those engagement courses. And you're going to talk a lot about them at orientation when you get to course registration with different deans that are around the room. But pre-health advising, we can only really focus on those prerequisite courses for health professions programs. So the prerequisites we talked about today, and then the ones you see on our website, kind of planning out that sequence of courses for your time at UVA. But anything within your major or general education requirements, we will defer to those experts.
Great, thanks. We don't have any questions left now. If there's any last questions, throw them in the Q&A. Questions have been great so far.
Yeah, thank you all so much for being here. This is really going to help you get your first step and will prepare you more for orientation when you're actually there. But you may come up with a question between now and then, between now and your orientation session, where you'll say, oh, I wish I would have asked that, or I'm not sure about it. Please do look for us during orientation. We will be in the room, as I mentioned earlier, where registration and advising is taking place. And you will recognize us, but we will also be advertising the fact that we are pre-health advisors. And so we are there for you and look forward to seeing you then.
Yes, we did get 3 questions. You want me to just answer them really quick?
Sure.
Okay, first one. Would you recommend shadowing as a first year or should we wait? I think first year is a great time to shadow, as long as you can balance that with classes and other involvements. It's good to know early on what profession you're interested in, or even if you're interested in clinical health in general. I think shadowing is a great way to determine that. It's not a large commitment. Usually people go in for a day or two a week, a couple hours a week, and you can get a good perspective about that profession.
I'll
Right.
add really quickly that we don't have enough shadowing experiences for everyone who wants to shadow. And so you don't need to stress or worry at all if you don't get one during your first year. Just keep in touch with us and watch the Pre-Health Pulse newsletter, because we will send out more information about that as we go.
Okay. Are there any specific majors that are preferred by med schools? No, there are not. They're looking for your performance in those prerequisite courses, because those are all science-based typically, and for that matter, you know, how you do in your major courses as well. So there are no specific majors. We like to say, you know, major in something you're interested in. That often can yield better results in those classes. So definitely explore your options in your first 2 years. You don't declare your major until spring of your second year, so you have some time.
And we used to, it's almost a joke, but it's not a joke. All of our music majors have gotten into medical school because they're majoring in something they're really passionate about, and they're doing well on those prerequisites. And so it's not the fact that you majored in music that gets you in, it's the fact that you're doing something that you care about. And of course, you need to have a strong showing in the sciences. And so I'm not saying that everyone should be a music major for that purpose, but if you want to, it's really okay and interesting.
Okay, it says that the link for Madison House, if you want to volunteer at UVA's hospital, I was supposed to attend on the information. So there will be an information session for the fall for Madison House. They just probably haven't updated the website yet. So just, you know, be on the lookout for that as we get closer to August.
Yeah, likely the weekend before classes start. So pay attention to that.
Okay, sorry we joined late. Are we able to watch a recording of this? Thank you. Yes, there will be a recording made available next week, I believe. Was said correct? Yeah, so next week. Is it
I'll
like
jump in on the shadowing experience that we are very supportive of first year students shadowing. It is one of the experiences that you can start off with and kick off your pre-health experience. But many students will start with volunteering through Madison House. It's one of many options. And so I'm not going to say there is a likelihood or not. You're not disadvantaged by being a first year.
if you take a biology or chemistry course with labs, how does that process work? Do you have to find a lab to do this with, or will that be given to you? So if you're referring to the labs that you need to take with the course, you would have to sign up for that lab. For chemistry, the lab is separate from the lecture, so you would have to sign up for the lecture in the lab. For biology, the lab is connected to the lecture. So you would just sign up for that biology course. And we can talk about that with you at orientation, specifically the courses that you need to sign up for. But yes, you would need to sign up for the labs. What is a bridge gap again? I'm still a little confused by how that works. Okay, I think Kim is answering.
Yeah, I was starting to type out some information and I will put it in both the Q&A and the chat. But bridge year is similar to what a gap year, what you've heard of as a gap year between high school and college. Bridge year is between college and your health profession of choice. As Chris mentioned earlier, over 80% of successful applicants to medical school do a bridge year. And it is a very strategic way to really strengthen your application before you apply. So if you apply to medical school or another health profession without a bridge year, that means you're applying after your third year. If you apply with a bridge year, you're applying at the end of your fourth year, and then you're involved with the application process throughout that entire bridge year. And we will talk with you one-on-one about what's right for you when you come to grounds. So really recommend that you focus on your first semester now, and then we can talk about your different options. Nothing is off the table based on what you take in your very first semester. There are still options. And so that's important to know. You can't mess up in your first semester. We will coach you in all the different ways that you can move toward your goals.
Right. And there's one more. Kyle, do you want to get this one about AP? Would you recommend taking courses from high school like AP Bio or AP Chem at UVA, even if the credit requirements have already been met through AP testing?
Yeah, this is a really good question. And it's definitely personal to every student. I also will recognize that I think a lot of these students might have taken these classes during the COVID pandemic and, gotten credit in high school and it was just kind of starting out. So it's really important to address your individual aptitude and readiness for each individual subject. We have students every year that do both, that retake different classes that they got AP credit for or just use their AP credit. So really thinking through what is going to be most beneficial for you personally, how ready you feel to go into a college level science class. There's nothing wrong with retaking classes that you received AP credit for, and there's nothing wrong with using it. So I'd really do some personal reflection and kind of figure how ready you feel for those college level science classes.
There's one more.
Yeah, I just saw that. And I think Tab
Yeah.
might be able to help us with this one too. Tab, with folks having later orientation dates, are they at a disadvantage when registering for classes? I know that they are not, but maybe you can give more information on that.
Yeah, so all of the schools of enrollment try to evenly distribute seats in the popular classes. So for this webinar, chemistry and biology, right? So let's say there are 100 spaces. This is not the case, but let's just say there were 100 spaces available and we had 10 sessions, then we would give out 10 spaces each session. So no student is ever at a disadvantage based on their ability to come to summer orientation. And so the schools of enrollment have already figured out whatever that mathematical equation is. And so don't feel that if you're able to come to session G and you can't make it to session A, that somehow you're missing out. You're not.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll also add, this is very common. So important to know that regardless of what classes you get during your orientation session, lots of people make changes in August when the classes open back up. And so if you don't get the exact classes that you're looking for during your session, do not worry. There's lots of opportunity to make changes through drop and add and all kinds of things that start in August. And we can talk with you about that as well. And so just want to preface your orientation experience that if for some reason you don't worry. We got you.
I think that's all the questions that we have.
All right. Sounds good.
Uh-oh, did one more come in there, Chris?
Ooh, that's a question for you, Tab, that is, can they
Oh.
use personal devices to register for classes?
Yes, they can. Mhm.
Do they have to have personal devices, or are they supposed to bring their own laptop?
Yes, yes, you don't have to bring, your own. You can do it on your phone. A lot of people bring their laptop. And so you'll need something to register for your classes, during summer orientation. And all of those questions, that those summer orientation specific questions, many of them are answered in our frequently asked questions list on our website. So I encourage folks to go to that as well. Well, anything else from our team today? Any closing comments that anybody wants to make about pre-health? We're good.
I think we did it.
You did it. You did it. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you, students, for joining us. Don't forget to sign up for that newsletter. You saw the QR code 3 times, if not 4. So be sure to do that. And we look forward to seeing you at your summer orientation session, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us for this Wednesday Web, and have a great rest of your evening. Bye.